Metal Gods Meltdown, and today I'm joined by
Mike from Heaven Shall Burn, guitarist and songwriter, lyricist. Yeah,
Hi
yeah.
Matt. Grapples with the ideas of home and identity. How do you personally define belonging in today's fractured world?
The basic thought was to just take the term Heimat and homeland just back from all these right-wing discussions, like people capturing the term and just like make it hollow and just fill it with some identity bullshit or something like that, it and uh and yeah, like something of a recapture, and everybody should think about or for themselves what Heimat or homeland or something like that means to them, and that would be a really cool exercise to overcome like all this fractioning, like all these people trying to tell other people what home can mean, or what home cannot mean to them, or if you can share a home or not, or something like that. I think a term like home, or the German term Heimat, which contains a lot more than just the term home, it's more like it's a term that also contains some sense of belonging and where you come from and where your roots are, and stuff like that. And yeah, so everybody should think on his or her own what it means, and that's a very, very individual process. And I don't think that Heimat is a term that can be discussed in an approach where you try to tell people what Heimat can mean to them, and because as it's very individual. So as you were talking of like a fractured world, um, yeah, it is exactly something where everybody should think on his own, and by that, there will be like a whole picture, you know.
So cool. So the album's been out a short while. What's the feedback been like so far, and how the songs going down live?
Oh, the feedback has been great, but I for myself, that might sound strange, but I'm more interested in negative feedback.
Okay.
Because that is where you learn from, you
Yeah.
know. And so once in a while, I mean, there is like these bullshit reviews where like the writer just wants to show off and show how cool he is, and he has no background about the band, or it's not about the record, it's just about writing some cool stuff, like these negative reviews, they don't help me. But
Mm,
once in a while there is some, well, not negative in general, the record is too good for that, of course,
mm,
but once in a while there is some criticism here and there in certain points from people who know their shit, and I'm really keen to come to know about these, because that is where you can make progress
yeah.
with, you know and that help you developing, maybe somebody thinks, oh yeah, the voice is maybe mixed a bit too behind or a bit too much in front, or the guitar sound here and there, and I would have put this song as the entry and not
Mm.
as the exit of the record or something like that. I'm really interested in like in criticism like that, because that helps you to come forward to make things better. I know that we have a great record, so there is
Yeah.
no sense for me to read to read like 100 reviews where they celebrate the record,
Yeah.
and of course I'm very happy about these reviews, but they I'm not looking for these,
Mm.
and yeah, live we already played a few songs live, and they really made some fuss in the audience. People liked it a lot, and
Cool.
we are happy to learn some more songs. Yeah.
So much of your work calls out injustice. Was there a recent event then that reignited your urgency to speak out on this album? Or has it just been the way the world's been going?
Yeah, well, we focus on topics like that a lot, but our approach is more like not to write lyrics or songs about the actual events taking place today, because like all these things are developments, are situation that are evolving and developing, and maybe if the record is out, um, there is a whole new thing,
Mm.
so maybe if I write something against Donald Trump or stuff I don't like about Donald Trump, so when the record comes out in 6 months or something, maybe there's already a new president. You
Yeah,
don't never know what happens,
yeah,
so
yeah.
that's why we actually focus more on like historical events that
Hmm.
may be comparable to stuff that is going on today, and we try to extract statements and visions and opinions and punchlines like from these historical events that you can like review as a whole thing.
Hmm.
So for example, if I want to express something about the Ukrainian war, like
Hmm.
the war of Russia against the Ukraine, then I maybe focus on stuff that happened in the past,
Hmm.
because during the course of history, there's been like 1,000 tyrants, marching into other
Doesn't it?
countries,
Yeah.
and you can yeah take your reasonings from these events, and transport them into today's situation. So that's actually always the concept we have. In that song "War is the Father of All," for example, we have a Ukrainian choir singing.
Yeah.
I'm
That
from
was.
Odessa, and yeah, that was really touching, like talking to these people and their stories and
Been something else since to have the Ukrainian orchestra involved. How did that actually come about?
oh, we work with Wilhelm Keitel and Sven Helbig, like a composer and a conductor. And Sven helps us to transport our ideas for the classical elements on the record to the yeah, to bring it to paper, and just to make it like playable in the classical way, with the
Yeah.
string quartet and the choir. And Wilhelm is a conductor, and he has contact to that choir from the
Cool.
Ukraine.
Cool.
And yeah, he brought some people over to Germany and Austria, and where they live, they live around Europe now.
Hmm.
And yeah, he brings them together, and they can still perform as a choir together and have some jobs and stuff like that, like singing on our record,
Yeah.
which is a good thing. So that connection came because of the conductor we always work with. Yeah,
So,
and that's very interesting. Yeah.
yeah. And of course, the whole album is the full package, even down to, I'm going to try and set this right, Elren Cantor's artwork, which is really rich,
Eliran
yeah.
Kantor, yeah, from yeah, he's from Israel. He lives in Berlin,
Right.
and yeah, but one of the most famous metal cover artists of these
That's right.
days, like a new Dan Seagrave, so to say. And
Yeah.
yeah, very, very talented guy, like always delivering high quality metal covers. And we were very, very happy with the result. Again, he also worked for our previous album. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's really like cool, isn't it? With the stag links and owl imagery. Just goes, is that giving the whole cool message for the album? Yeah.
Yeah, it's highly symbolic. We wanted to have animals that live in the forests around us where we come from,
Yeah.
Thuringia in Germany, which is like a really hillbilly forest state. There's no big cities or something like that, and there is, lynx and owls and
Yeah.
stags. And we wanted to have these, and yeah, they of course function also as symbols, like the triptych.
Hmm.
Eliran really, really made a nice symbolism in it, like the lynx killing a dove,
Hmm.
as a symbol of war, and
Cool.
like the mighty stag, like screaming against the infernal fire that takes place behind him, and the owl as a ray of hope, like carrying a grain um, in her mouth. Yeah, we really like these ideas, and we're very happy with the outcome. Yeah.
So are there plans to have that like framed on your wall with the gold disc when that arrives? Yeah.
With the gold disc, well, I'm not sure about the gold disc, but the cover will definitely be on the wall framed. There will be some high quality um, art prints.
Cool.
Eliran always provides that,
Cool.
and yeah, we'll see about the gold record.
Yeah, I'm sure that will happen. So it's been decades with a stable lineup. That's really rare, isn't it, these days? So
Yeah.
how do you guys keep the fire burning?
First of all, it's just because we are five friends,
Hmm.
doing music together, and even the one or two people who left over the course of 3 decades making music, like these two or three people, there are still friends and involved in our band universe and do like backing vocals on the records and stuff like that. And they just left the band because of like, family developments or
Hmm.
like their jobs and everything. And I think one of the main reasons is that like more than 20 years ago we decided that we don't want to be a full professional band.
Hmm.
When our third record came out, we just signed with Century Media Records, and the Antigone record, our third record, Make It or Break It, became a huge success, and we made it. Then there was the question, okay, do we really want to be professional musicians, And we all had like studies and jobs we really liked.
Right.
And you didn't feel like moving into a big city like Berlin or Hamburg because you're closer to the media there and you can fly everywhere, like artists do that. We just wanted to stay in our hillbilly villages in the
Yeah.
forest, and do our jobs because we love our jobs.
Yeah.
So yeah, so maybe we're the most successful hobby band in the world. I don't know. I don't know of any other hobby band having like a number one in the German charts.
Yeah.
So who knows? And yeah, and this balance we have, because between our all day life and the sheer insanity of the music business.
Yeah.
I mean, if you take part in the music business for more than 2 or 3 decades, then you're either burned out, crazy, drug addict, or dead. And but we just jump into that Shark Tank just once in a while, play a few festivals, do a tour, do a record, and then we are back on our all-day lives with our jobs and sitting in the on the office or running around in the hospital. And yeah, that keeps your feet on the ground and your
Yeah.
head clear, and you can rate that insanity going on in the music business a lot more as if you're just a part of it,
Yeah.
without having to look from the outside. And I think that keeps us going and also avoids us having like big arguments
Mm.
or stuff like that that leads to split ups in the lineup.
Yeah. So it's like having a split personality in a way. Yeah. You've got two personalities. You've got your day work and then you got your metal work.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. I like to talk more of a balance, which is actually the opposite of having a split personality, you know,
Right.
because having a split personality is like having a personality that has like 100% this and in the next moment has 100% this, whereas we have 50% this and 50% this all the time.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
work,
Yeah.
I can think if my boss tells me something I don't like, I can think, yeah, well, piss off. I do my music, I don't have to live off that job.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if the music business pisses me off, or if there's a pandemic or something like that, I can say like, well, okay, just let's take the music aside for a year or something and just do my job.
Yeah.
And that gives you like a lot of relaxed quality time. And when I'm in the office with all my books and everything, I'm really keen to go out on the road, and play shows. But when I lived on a coach in a nightliner for 4 weeks, then I'm really happy to go back to my bookshelves again as well.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, that balance is very nice.
Do you ever worry that your message as a band gets lost in the aggression, or is that part of the challenge of your band?
I don't know if stuff gets lost in the aggression. I think the aggression we transport with the music is like a very, very vital part of the expressive force of our lyrics. You know,
Mhm.
if you read our lyrics, you can really tell that we are pissed off about something, and I think you should hear that in the music as well. You know, and I think that goes hand in hand, and is very important. But I mean, we are not only about aggression, you know, to have the aggressive parts stand out even more. We also create very, very emotional moments in a silent way, you know, like exploring that classical music I was already talking about with like
Yeah.
string quartets and choirs and stuff like that. And yeah, so it's more like a broad band of emotions we deliver, you know, where the aggressions is just one extreme point, but there's also like very, very silent, silent and calm emotions being created in our music. Yeah. So I don't think the create aggression destroys some message. I mean, maybe, you know, in the end, we're still some kind of a death metal band, of course, like a
Hmm.
modern death metal band, but and maybe that keeps away some people who like to listen, like you, obviously, to Sabotage or stuff like that, you know. Um, Maybe that keeps away some listeners that would maybe like the music but don't like the way our vocals are performed. Yeah, but that is always a question of style. You know, I think there
Of
is a lot of death metal fans not listening to true metal because of the vocals as well. You know,
I
so
listen to everything. So.
yeah, that's the best. That's the best attitude. There is only good and bad music.
Of course, of course. So you guys have played everywhere from Leipzig. Sorry, my cat's been a bit annoying. From Leipzig to Lima. How do different cultures interpret your message then live?
I think heavy metal is like one of the last kinds of world music, you know, and somebody going to a Heaven Shall Burn show has a certain attitude and like a certain horizon about music, you know? So I think somebody in Chile expects and believes the same about music than somebody in Japan going.
All right, and so what's the plans for the rest of the year with Heaven Shall Burn?
Oh well, we just finished our summer festival season, played a few very, very cool festivals, and yeah, preparing for a European tour, planning that stuff, inviting some cool bands, trying to have a really cool lineup for the tour. And maybe there is a few festivals in South America, in Asia, in fall.
Mhm.
But yeah, for the rest of the year, there won't be any shows in Europe. Yeah,
Okay.
so we planned that for the beginning of the next year. Yeah,
Hopefully the UK, yeah?
yeah, we will go to the UK as well. Promise.
Cool. Okay. So then, can you tell us why we should check out Heimat?
Why? I think we have prepared like a really, really emotional and touching journey for you on that record. And that would be very important to me that you listen to the record as a whole, you know,
Mhm.
and not only a few singles in your streaming list you created, you know, just listen to the record as a whole and dive into the roller coaster of emotions we created and just yeah, let you let yourself go with it. And it's a very, very interesting and emotional journey. I think that's the main reason why you should listen to it. It will definitely touch you, I think.
And finally, can you finally give us 4 words then to describe the album?
It's honest, it's emotional, it's touching to a Heaven Shall Burn show, you know, at least that's what I experienced. I mean, and sometimes there's the situation I remember when we played in Indonesia for the first time, you know, you didn't really have the feeling that you play for Indonesian people there. You know, it was just a very separated bubble, like a very, very subcultural thing within Indonesia, with like a lot of rich kids coming to the show, you know, like a lot of foreign people living in Indonesia coming to the show. And it was certainly not the average of the Indonesian population showing up at the show, you know. So you have this kind of metal bubbles all around the world, you know. And no matter in China, in South Africa, or in the United States of America, they all think Lemmy is God, you know, and Ozzy Osbourne should live forever. And that is, yeah, I don't sense a big basic difference there. Of course, like the temperament, if you play in Argentina or Brazil or Chile, like the temperament is a lot higher than playing in Denmark or Germany, for example, you know. That's for sure. But the basic way they think about music and they live and they feel music is the same everywhere if they go to a metal show, you know. I mean, do you think somebody in Australia expects something else from a Cannibal Corpse show than somebody in Norway?
Exactly.
I don't know. I don't think so.